Hey guys, Zanara here, and today we're going to be talking about the new Bermuda Triangle reveals for Cardfight Zero. Um, so this morning there was a little stream that had like one of the reveals for Late Joker. It was a triple R for the new upcoming set with Messiah, the X, Gallop, and Susano, and also Blade Master. So they revealed some information about Zero, which had IG's birthday celebration. So I'm pretty sure for the JP side, uh, that they get 5 free packs a day. So that's pretty good for JP players, RIP global players. But not only did they reveal Aquaforce, which a lot of people was waiting for, they revealed some Bermuda cards. So um, at the moment of recording, I do not have like official translations or like it's not updated on uh Carfight Meta Zero or Zero Meta. So I'm looking at my Discord for transfers. I'm translations of the cards. So um I'm just gonna use the wiki as an example to tell you the changes. So let me go to the first card. No, that's not it. Um Here we go. Sorry about that. So we're getting Coral in this set and her ride chain. So for what the original effect is, um, when the grade one Coral rides on top of this unit, you look at the seven top cards of your deck, search out to one um Aurora Star Coral or Shiny Coral and add it from among them, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Then winning card not name uh the grade one Coral rides it. You can call this card. So what they did for the Coral Ride chain, instead of 4K, it's 5K. And when you add a card, um yeah, when you add a card from sorry, when you add a card from among the two, you could call it instead. So you still get the Forerunner ability. Because what originally was, it would just stay in the soul. You won't call it at all. Um, I believe that's what it is. Uh, yes, yeah, you will still call it. So yes, I believe so. You still call it. It could be a mistranslation, but uh, it could stay in the soul. But I could be wrong about that. But yeah, the 5K, I mean the 1K buff to it, so it's a actual booster to make numbers is pretty good. Then we have the grade one coral. No, that's the grade two. Okay, fresh star coral. So fresh star is still 7K. I believe you still get the 1K if you have her in the soul. Maybe like I said, it could be a mistranslation that the grade zero is still called EVV Rider, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it'll still stay in the soul. So when the grade two rides, or when the Bermuda Triangle grade two rides it, that's not shiny star coral. Uh, you look at the top seven and you ride up to shiny star coral if you have the grade one in the soul. In zero, this hasn't changed, so it's the exact same card. It's zero as in for this one. So shiny star coral, um, the same. It has the same effect. It doesn't change at all on zero. So she's still a 10K if you have the grade one in soul. When it hits, which is more consistent to happen, you could choose a regard in the front row return hand, which this is free, and you don't really need to have uh the core ride chain activated. Unless they change it to zero. For the translations, it looks like it's not. So if you have a grade one in your soul, you can return to back row. Meaning, for Coral, you can start actually being more aggressive. You can start calling out your PGs and other cards you want to save your hand. They want to protect. So like, if you play the sisters and you call the grade, if you call the grade two, it called a grade one. You might want to bounce to grade one. You might want to bounce them back to get your drawing engine started, or you can call your PGs. Your opponent will know you have it, but it's not like they could do anything to stop it because this will hit no matter what if you play your cards right. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's like, well, I'll save my opinions for later, but yeah, that it's pretty much the same. And let's get to the grade three coral, which uh they actually did some things to Coral and Zero. So her original effect was, yeah, Shiny Star Coral your soul. This unit gets 1k as normal. Then her limit break was Combat Boss 2. With this unit attacks, may pay cost. If you do Soul Charge 1, choose one of your Bermuda rear guards, return to hand. This unit gets 5 as power to hit in battle. So what they did was her limit break is she gets 5,000 power when she attacks. So it's a 16k attacker, and her second effect is that if you have the grade 2 in the soul, you get 1k, so that's still the same. And her last effect is once a turn, you can counterblast 1 to soul charge 1 to return a rear guard to your hand. So let's say you're still going against an opponent that can't like retire or profit off of you calling your PGs. You can just return it back and you can soul charge a card. And then it still enables you to like commit cards from the early game, and you could just bounce it back. But the fact that if you get the ride chain off, your Vanguard is a consistent 16k attacker, which with a booster in the back, you get a 24k line. So that hits over cross ride numbers. So I think that's actually pretty okay, especially if you get the ride chain off. You can be in that 11k. So I guess it's pretty decent for right now. But another thing that they added to they revealed for the set is her second form with the limit break. So I kind of suspected they would do this since there was like some data, some leaks going around that both corals are being in the set. I just didn't know when. It's coming on June 1st for JP, so that'll be pretty interesting to see how well they'll do. So her original effect is um if you have the grade 3 in the soul, she gets 2k power, so she's a cross ride. Then her original effect was limit break 4, Cowards 1 to Soul Boss 1. Choose one of your Bermuda Triangle rear guards and return to your hand. This unit gets 3k power to the end of turn. Choose the one card with Coral in its name from your hand and put it to your soul. If you do, draw 2 cards. Lord isn't in this game because you don't fuse clans. And it's I believe it's still once a turn. So in Zero, I believe it's the same effect. When it attacks, yeah, I believe it's the same effect. I think it's not a soul blast, so it's just counter boss 1. It chooses one of your Bermuda Triangle rear guards. It returns to hand, and then she gets 3,000 power. So basically, um, so I guess this what she does is that, okay, so the card itself, it's basically a draw engine without the soul blast. It just causes a counter blast to be limit break 4. So if you're playing Coral, well, especially this one, you can substitute. You might not have to play the Pearl Sisters at all because she is a draw engine herself, and the fact that she can become a 60k attacker still and still hit for 24 with a Sentinel behind her is still pretty good. And then again, she still profits off you um like calling cards. So what I'm thinking Coral might be overall is that you play it like a rush deck. You just call your hand down and don't really care about if your opponent swings into them because you can just bounce them back and you could draw cards from it. Also with PGs, you can start calling out your PGs for extra boosters for aggression. Unless you're going against a deck that can snipe them. So I'm pretty sure Narukami can snipe it. Heat Nail Salamander can snipe your PGs. But any other clan can't really counter you when you call your down your perfect guards. Now I haven't played the JP version, but so far with the Liver Break set, it seems like not a lot of clans can like touch your back row for right now. But I guess there are obvious decks such as Kagero, Narukami, Shao Paladin, and even Dark Irregulars to a bit of an extent. So you have to be careful when you play against those clans where you call a perfect guard, but like majority of the clans can't really stop you from calling your perfect guard and returning it. Um, then lastly, we got Pacifica in the set, her cross ride. So um her V effect is basically minus one CB for her limit break. So CB2, what is unit attacks? You could you pay the cost. If you do, choose two of your Bermuda Triangle rear guards, return the hand. It searches like up to one Bermuda Triangle and call it. Now also they also added text saying that you don't have to return two in order to get the call. So you can just CB2, don't return anything and call it. So I believe it's the same for this too. It's just reminder text because it says choose up to two, so you can choose zero. And she still gets the skill. I mean, she gets the cross rider that she's 13k. So um overall with the stuff that's revealed, and I think the grade zero is mistranslated a little bit, but overall Coral seems like it's going to be a rush deck, so you might play crits, and since you can profit for bouncing your rear guards back, you could draw extra cards from the Shangri-La. I think that's how I say her name. The better limit break card for Coral, since you draw two. And the fact that it's only CB1, it's kind of crazy because you're plussing two almost every turn. And also, you can even ride the Shangri-La Coral and put the grade 3 in the soul, and you'll be fine because you get your cross ride. And also, you get your 16k swing with setting in the back row. That's 24k. Um, which I think it's pretty. It's okay. I'm not sure how the Japanese meta plays, especially since there are a lot of other better decks. Um, in in the JP side, I think the fact that Coral can keep drawing and keep a consistent hand in order to draw grade twos is pretty decent. I'm pretty sure there's like other clans that can have better defenses better than Coral, but the fact that the the deck for right now with the grade two, well, of course, all ride chains aren't going to have like really efficient rear guards. Um, but for right now, Coral's at the mercy of what type of other support cards are going to help it. Same for Pacifica. Like, in my opinion, I believe Pacifica is a little bit better because you could get a fourth attack and able to close out your opponent. While if your opponent has two interceptors and your Coral, you're just swinging with a big attack unless you run crits, which I think that's fair for I think that's really fair for Coral for her to run crits because sometimes you won't be able to do that much damage unless you run stand triggers. But um, Pacifica has the ability to just create a fourth attack, even though it's CB2. There are some cards in the future. There are some cards in the future that can help out with her aggression when she does that. So a big issue that I see is that prisms are being introduced, and I understand because it's still limit break, and that's why they introduced both corals. But without Celtic and Clear, Pacifica's not really going to do much. So Celtic and Clear, which is a great one, it's basically whenever return to your hand, you can soul boss one and give one of your units 4K power. So this for the both great one, and this for both Celtic and Clear. Basically, you call them, return them back, call the new card, and give that column 8K. You can hit over triggers. You can even yeah, you hit over triggers regardless. Without these two cards, Pacifica is not going to have that much power. The called unit is not going to get power unless they give her the attacker. I'm a 12K attacker. It's still not going to do much because our 12K attacker is in the duo set, which is still break ride. So Pacifica is at the mercy of what are the rares and commons going to do, and what rares and commons are they going to introduce. So I'm pretty sure for one of the grade threes is going to be this card, since almost every other clan has these, I believe, a generic limit break. So it's like a 50K attacker on Vanguard. And on Rigard, it's a 12K attacker. Uh, this doesn't really help out much for Coral. And Pacifica, you don't want to be calling triggers. You want to filter your deck for triggers. So another card that I think will be in the set is this card, Sweet Harmony Mona. So when she's placed on rear guard, you kind of also want to return a Bermuda Triangle unit to your hand. Honestly, on I could see like play if I mean she could see some play if you're going for like a mill Bermuda Triangle deck to your opponent, but you deck yourself out also. I can see her being played in Pacifica if you're like doing mid battle shenanigans. So like if you like call a grade two behind Vanguard, like Rio, and then you call her out from Pacifica. If you have like CB open, you can like CB2 to draw one into Soul Charge, and you plus one to field because of her. But I really don't see that happening. Um, this will be a lot better if Clear and Celtic were cards, because you can like easily call her out, CB1, return Clear or Celtic to Soul Boss when to give a unit 4K. If you have like a 9 to 6K, that's 20K to that lane. And if you do it again with Pacifica, that's 24. So you can hit over crossfire numbers if they get a trigger. So until we get clear Celtic, I don't think this card will see play. Now another card that could possibly be in the set, which could actually help Pacifica out, is Mira Diva Biscayne. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but her skill is Sobasa 1 when his units placed on RC. If you have a Bermuda Triangle Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, look at the top 7 cards from the top of your deck. Search up to another card with her name in it. Reveal it to your opponent, put it to your hand. So the reason why I think this card might actually see play in Pacifica, it possibly might even other decks too, but mostly Pacifica, is that I feel like she won't be 6K. She might be 7K, but I might be too powerful. So if it's still 6K, it will still probably be play. You just make less effective numbers. But the reason why is because if you have top Isle Pacifica as your Vanguard and you put a trigger back, use her skill, even if you whiff, you could still shuffle the deck, which Pacifica is not going to be focusing on a limit break. You will only ride top Isle so you get the cross ride. So, because the break ride. I mean break ride. The limit break is just so much better. So you can push for game and you can get extra attacks. So with this card, you're able to not only get a booster because again in Zero, unless you're Bermuda, which you are, uh, not everyone has the luxury of being able to call down their perfect guards, and everyone effectively is only running like nine. Yeah, only running nine boosters since four of those perfect guards. But you can use your perfect guards to boost and return them during battle phase, or even um like in Coral's case, you call them early game. Your opponent can't counter you unless they have the ability to do that, which most clans don't. So this will allow you to get more boosters consistently with Pacifica. And if it's 7K, it makes numbers. So this is a rare. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be another rare too. And there's some other cards, but like most of this stuff is prisms, which won't come out. We have the Limit Break Enabler, so you just count boss one. You put the top card of your deck face down. At the end of your turn, you can return it to your deck. You shuffle it. So if you need your limit break, you can do that. This might see playing Coral, but that's CB2. Well, it's actually really CB1, but you need to have two open counterblasts to use Shangri-La and her, which I'm pretty sure Bermuda won't have too much trouble with that. Since they don't use a lot of CB unless you're playing the Pacifica version of the deck, then your deck will most likely not have a lot of CB in it. Now, I don't think this next card will see play just because of the effect. Um, Dancing Fan Princess, Minato. So her skill is when your grade 3 Bermuda Triangle is placed on VC, this unit gets 10 odds power to end turn. Um, this is mostly designed for Break Ride, which I mean, this will work. This card might see play if we got Alk, which can ride during battle phase, and this could get extra power to hit over your opponent's triggers. But the fact that she has no Vanguard skill also is a 10k. But also, we're still in limit break. We're not in break ride yet. I don't think this card will see play. This might come when prisms actually come and become useful. And we got some triggers and stuff. Um, Now this card I'm not too sure about. Mascot Lady Aura Era. Combat one when this unit boosts a Bermuda Triangle with limit break, you may pay a cost. If you do, the boost unit gets 3,000 power. What they could do is not make it Counterboss 1, but I'm not too sure. To have a 9k booster, this will actually help Pacifica hit some numbers. Well, it hits 18. Um, but I don't really think it will do that much, especially if it's a counterblast, then Pacifica won't be playing it. Coral already has Senna, which is just way better. Well, I mean, actually, you could play this, but you rather just have Senna in the back row and have other cards to play over than having a 6k rear guard. Oh wait, actually, if you have like Coral on the rear guard or any limit break unit on a rear guard circle, it could work, but I think it's just effective to just play Senna. It's just more easier to pull off the condition, even if it's just 1k more. Um, a starter we could get is costume change Alk. So put this in the soul. When it hits a Vanguard, uh, during the battle boosted, with limit break, you may pay a cost if you do draw a card. Um, I don't think this will see play unless you're playing like that other grade 3. I don't think this will see play unless they make it. Well, if they make it 5k, do some other effect like return a regard to hand and then draw. You got some battle phase shenanigans, which Could work because you can return your perfect guard during your battle phase instead of having to wait another turn, which could be really really good. But Pacifica wants to use Wendell. Well, Pacifica might actually use this if they change the starter's effect, especially if it returns a unit during the battle phase. It opens up more space for you to actually be a little bit more aggressive to call your perfect guards. So yeah, they might make it to 5K, but that might be too strong. It really depends on Game Studio how they want to handle it. But um, this could definitely go off more because uh, I'm pretty sure you optimize your plays to hit the Vanguard. So it really depends. But being able to draw a card to replace itself is okay. But I just feel like you need to do a little bit more to see play to be in the competitive late. So overall, both decks are after giving it some time and thinking over it. At first, I thought Coral was like really really bad, but the fact that you can run crits, you can be aggro early with your PGs. So if you draw a PG, it's not like I have to hold on to it. I can't get any more. You can comfortably play it now because your cards like the Grade 2 Coral can return it to hand. Um your Grade 3s can return it to hand. If you're comfortable just calling it out early. It will give your opponent that information, but you're also drawing cards in the process. You're putting pressure on them by pushing them to that high amount of damage. Now it could backfire because they could just do their limit break and counter you. But that's why I think where maybe Coral might shine over Pacifica is that they can at least counteract their losses. As in, since they draw a decent amount, like I want like the limit break card. It's almost basically the Pearl Sister engine, but just out limit break in CB1. Because you put a coral from your hand to the soul, which unless you're just calling a grade 2, the grade 1 is just being a generic booster. You could just keep it in hand. Or you could put your grade 3s into soul because you're not really calling them, which is fine. Um but compared to like some of the other decks that could get crits on rear guards, I believe DI was doing that. And cards that call cards from the deck, I think Ezel was doing that at Restand. Not Pacifica. Coral's main strength comes from being a draw engine herself and being able to hit numbers decently by herself with her limit breaks. But it's just still the same as in Bermuda right now for global is that they don't have enough pressure in order to keep it up. And they can't reasonably close games unless it's from Riviere's um Persona Blast, which if the Bermuda player could survive that long, sure. And Pacifica is almost there to becoming a decent deck. Is just the deck is missing two important cards, which is not coming out until Break Ride starts, and that is Clear and Celtic, which gives a unit 4K because you're not using the soul for anything for Pacifica. If you're riding top idle Pacifica first, you get a soul charge and you can just put a trigger back. Pacifica is going to be a filtering deck where you could just draw out your grade 3s, put them back, and then filter your deck from that grade 1 that searches itself, and you could call a card that's not a trigger, and you will trigger way more, and you get an extra attack. It's more aggressive in like the late game than Coral. The Coral is more aggressive early game, and then I believe you can just out advantage your opponent for some decks, not all decks. But again, we're at the mercy of what kind of cards are going to release for the rares and commons, because if they actually like change some of the effects for like some of the cards I talked about, they both could easily become like decently competitive. Coral's issue is that um creating pressure, which Pacifica creates pressure by calling that last card. So if you swing out the rear guards with Pacifica, attack with her, and then you call a card from the deck, you create that fourth attack. And if your opponent doesn't get a trigger, which you could just rip triggers since you filter out your deck with Pacifica, give it all to the rear guard, and swing one more time. So you could create pressure almost every turn, but it's CB2. So we'll just have to wait and see because Bermuda does get an option to Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 2, which Pacifica could just Soul Charge, and you can play cards like Rio, the Pro Scissor Engine, which Pacifica will still play since the deck can't generate that much advantage like Coral can. Um, but Coral, she thought they're both basically at the mercy of what cards that are commons and rares are going to be inserted to both of them. If if they added an effect to like either coral to give it like a crit, if you have like certain amount of corals in the soul, it's like if you had like 4 corals with Shangri-La, she gets a crit in 5k. That'll be fine. When she attacks, uses her limit break, or when she just uses her limit break, that's fine. That would have made the deck a lot better than what it is. But since it has no crit pressure or any type of pressure other than just swinging early game, and calling out your PGs, closing games are gonna probably be difficult unless you just out advantage your opponent, which it could become that. It just seems Zero's mechanics doesn't really work with Bermuda, and I'm not sure. This is just me theory crafting. Um, so if what I think the support cards that could help both of them, um, if any way they got like a counter charger, so like they remade I believe it's Zero, they remade no, my bad. All the cards from the first set are pretty much almost the exact same as the original. But I know there is another card in this set that's a grade 0. Um I believe, okay, I think it was this card. Now this card, it's a common, and it was basically when it's placed on guard circle, you can put a card from your drop zone to the soul. Now, this could actually work for both decks. If they make this like a 6 or 7k, which it might make it 6, like Chappie, if you place it on rear guard, you could put any card from your a soul to the drop zone. So this helps Coral in getting her cross ride off more efficiently. Because if you check a Aurora Star Coral in your drive checks, it goes down to the drop zone. Call it. You call it when you're on Shangri-La. Put it into the soul. You got your cross ride. Pacifica is the exact same thing. Ride you ride Eternal Idol. Pacifica's in the drop zone. Soul charge it. Will it see play? It might. If you put like massive amounts of draw or like even crits, you can just put it into the soul. You got your cross ride. You're just at the mercy of the trigger to do it. And it doesn't plus you in any way other than give you defense, which I think in this case it can be justified that you do that. If you don't run as much triggers as you want to, like if you don't run draw triggers and just go for an aggro build, I think it's justified because you get your aggro faster. But not only that, this can even work when you have uh like this card in hand. Like you have this card in hand, and you have the other grade 3s that need to be put into soul to cross ride. You just call that grade 3, call this on top of it, put that card into the soul. You -1, but you gain defense on turn 3. Let's say you went first. You get your cross ride on turn 3. It could see play, especially since both decks could soul charge with the Pearl Sisters engine, and both decks can draw a bunch of cards. So if you do draw into the cards that you need, Caller, put into Soul, you got your cross ride. So I think this card could change the decks in some way, but it still doesn't solve the issue that Pacifica doesn't gain power for when you return units, because the call unit is just not gonna have any power unless you have uh that grade 2 uh, that gives power when you call it, which is only 2K, which isn't that strong. If Clear Celtic was in this set, Pacifica will be really, really strong. But the fact that we're not in Limit Break yet, and we're not in Break Ride. Sorry, we're still not going to be able to get power from when we bounce. I could be wrong that they can add more cards, but since Aqua Force is the main card and all the other clans got it, I'm pretty sure we're only getting a couple cards for Bermuda. So, well, um, last things I would like to say is that um, if you're in the global version right now, you want to play Bermuda, I'll probably make another video about what cards you should be trying to look for, trying to get in order to prepare for this, since you have a long time for Bermuda, so you could just VP farm, stock your resources into Bermuda, and we'll see what happens in the JP version and what cards is going to be revealed. I'll definitely talk about that. But this video is more like me theory crafting and like what's possibly going to be in the next set in a couple days. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys watched this video. So if you like the content, uh, please just keep following me, and I'll keep making more of these videos. So I'll see you guys next time.